Hello, everyone. Welcome to our final edition of 2021 Orange Slices with Jeff and Ian, where you've had a great year. I know it hasn't been a great year for a lot of people, but thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your questions. Happy New Year, and here's to a great 2022. Enjoy.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Jeff Sharples. My name is Ian Bagg. Let's talk hockey.
All right.
Where are you, first of all?
I'm in the nation's capital as we speak, Lord Bagg, Washington, D.C., and just across the river from where all the fun takes place. So, yeah, I love it out here. Really cool place.
Good. Which hotel are you staying in? Deep Throat?
You know what? I think it's a Sheraton. So Sheraton.
Nice.
I don't know the community. I'll just say Washington, D.C., which is kind of vague, but I think it's in one of their suburbs.
Well, that's nice. That's nice. Will you be home for New Year's, or what's going on? Or will you be flying?
Yes, should be. Well, it's a bit of a mess out there right now, but
the weather outside is frightful.
That's right. It is frightful, and it's crazy on the West Coast, and was 60 degrees when we got out here yesterday. So, should be home, and looking forward to watching some hockey and World Juniors over that time. We should tell everyone too that this is the big New Year's extravaganza. This is where we wrap up 2021 all into one big ball.
My goodness. And then we just drop it into a garbage can. That's what we do with that big ball, because what a mess. And I'm not even going to say Happy New Year, Jeff. I'm just going to say, hey, let's just see how things go. Let's test the waters. Let's not make it the best year ever. Let's just make it another year after the couple years that we've had. By the way, I've heard 3 to 5 years of us dealing with this. So congratulations. What a time it's going to be. I watched a little bit of the World Juniors yesterday. Not many fans in the stands. They got social distancing going on out, and I think they were in Red Deer. What was the game I was watching? The excitement is exciting. These guys are hitting. I like that. Why do they hit like that in juniors and then slow down in the big leagues? Why is everything calmed down a little bit once you get to the NHL?
Well, I think because when you're young, you just so fired up. I mean, these guys are playing for their countries. They're all fired up. Like the emotions going through 17, 18-year-old, 19-year-old kids must be, just crazy, right? Of course, they're doing all
no apparent reason.
They're all fired up, and the coaches are doing their best to try and control them. And just sometimes they just can't. There's just no controlling them. And then, put them on the ice and they're running around. And there's been more big hits in the first day of the, an exhibition games of the World Juniors than there has been maybe all year in the NHL. It's crazy.
Right. Somebody sent me a meme or a meme or a mimi or whatever you want to call it of the Canadian player hitting the Czech player, and it's a finish your check with a CZECH. Finish your check. I love it. Very good. Very funny. Very funny. Whoever sent that to me, I laughed hard. Who do you think is going to win that tournament? Do you think America's going to repeat, or do you think Canada's got a little bee in their bonnet and is going to take it?
Well, that's a great question, Lord Bagg, and I'll throw another team in here. Since I believe it's 2012 or 13, three different countries have won the tournament. Can you tell me who the third country is?
Sweden.
Because I'm guessing you'll get the first two.
I would say Canada. I would say America. I refuse to call it the United States of America right now. It's just the States of America, because it's a mess. And then I would say it's between Sweden and Russia, and I think it's Sweden.
Well, you were 2 out of 3, and then you went 0 for there on the next two. Finland.
No.
The Finns. Yeah. So the only 3 teams that have won it in the last 8 years, or I guess it would be 7 years or maybe 8 now, is Canada, the USA, and the Finland. And so
Otherwise,
Um,
Little Russia. That's what they call Finland, Little Russia.
yeah, they can call it whatever they want. Those guys are figuring out a way to win. And so what I would say is, obviously you're aiming and thinking Canada U.S. final,
Right.
but the Finns might have something to say for that. And the semifinal game, if I remember correctly, last year, both Canada and the U.S. both had their kind of, it's a little bit of a roller coaster ride for them to get, on to the next round and into the final. So the pressure mounts on these kids as the tournament goes on, but I don't think there's any team that carries any more pressure than the Canadian World Junior team does in any sport, because they're just expected to win every year, and if they don't win, that's not good enough. And so the U.S., who's got a great program too, can play underdog, and so can the other countries. So I've said that before. I'll say it again. The World Junior, the amount of pressure on those kids and the Canadian kids is astronomical and way more than any other team. Those kids are just trying to survive the tournament and win it, where the other ones can, just kind of play with the house's money the further they go.
Right. Yeah, it's just extra for them no matter what goes on. Hey, what do you think of this? Dave Hodge put out a thing the other day. Remember Dave Hodge?
Oh, yeah.
He thinks that the Olympics should be played by the juniors. So the juniors, the junior tournament that's happening right now, that should be at the Olympics. And then he thinks that the professional players should do the Canada Cup, which now became the World Cup, every 4 years, much like soccer does, because he says people that you cause that excitement twice as much, because the juniors have created their own excitement. Now you got them going to the Olympics, and then you got World Cup, and World Cup fever, as we know, with soccer is just it's pendulum. So yeah, what do you think of that?
I like that idea. I don't know what's going to happen now. Maybe they're just not going to play men's hockey this year in the Olympics. I guess we'll find out if they put it together in the next few weeks here. But I like the idea because, World Junior is like college football in the States.
Right.
There's
point. Ding. Correct.
Yeah, thank you.
I've never thought of it that way.
Well, now you have. And now you know the rest of the story. But it's, you know what? When I watch the World Juniors or junior hockey in general, and then I think I can say this for some college football games, it's bedlam out there sometimes. It's frantic. You don't know what is going to happen next. That's why there's so much excitement, right?
Well, also, you know what? I know I'm taking it off a little bit. The excitement at a college football game is just excitement. When you go to the NFL, there's fights in the stands and old men just being gross all over the place. It's way more exciting to see that, college game experience than the NFL, because I don't know, just old guys with on Sunday. Whereas college is just like, we live this college. It's us. We're part of this college. Yeah. Like that.
Yeah, you get, they're so emotionally invested, and they're a little bit older in college football than the junior hockey players are. But not much. And so, there's something about youth that has an energy about it. And I'd love to see the World Junior kids, Canada, U.S., Russia, or I guess, can they call them? Are they still the ROC? Return on capital? Like, what are didn't they? They can't call them Russia yet, can they? Are they the ROC?
I think they are the Republic of Cheaters. That's what I call them.
Well, okay. Anyways, Swedes, Finns.
Hey, now we don't want to offend anybody in Russia. We've got a big over there listening to us right now.
Well, I tried to go with the ROC, return on capital, and that you just you didn't want anything to do with that. So
I didn't want to get involved in
it. I think it's a great idea, and I think by doing this, you might be able to stir some more homegrown interest in it than maybe there is right now. Obviously, everyone was looking forward to seeing the NHL players go, but if you could build the Olympics and get that energy in there, that would be insane. And there's lots of young kids in the Olympics around those kids' age, so it's not like it's anything out of the ordinary. What an honor that would be. And then you're right, the World Cup. build it like the World Cup of Soccer. I mean, the whole world kind of stops for the World Cup of Soccer, even
Yeah.
if you don't have a nation in it.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
how
obviously,
you get other nations involved because they have to do those preliminaries, and those games are exciting too, as you see in soccer right now. The Canadian men won the other day and are doing great, and that's pretty exciting. So if you could do that with a team like Japan or China or even Australia, where they take somebody down and end up in the world, the World Cup of hockey, and they might get smoked right out of it, but hey, look at America back in the what was it 1980 Olympics? Huh?
Miracle on Ice, yeah.
Right? You never know. So
Well,
any game,
that's what made that such a great sporting event. You had all these college kids, these kids out of nowhere. They weren't affiliated with any professional sport, or sorry, not a professional team. And then they beat the Russians, who were like, they
a
were
professional team.
machine-like. Like these guys. The Russian team was these guys were superstars, and this group of college kids end up beating them, and still one of the greatest sports stories in the history, which I like because it's hockey, that we know, and maybe the biggest upset of all time in any sport. But there's Dave Hodge, kind of miss him. He's been gone for a long time, but I
Cranky.
agree. I think, well, I mean, I guess he wouldn't still be on, but I agree with where he's going with that. Let's try and build a World Cup for the players in the NHL, the best players in the world, so they can have something to represent. And then let's build the Olympic program around the younger kids. It wasn't that long ago that, Canada used to have an Olympic team that played year round,
Right.
and then they did away with it.
I kind of enjoy it's kind of like college sports where you see people rise to the occasion and play balls out and they're so good, but that's where their career ends. They don't make it to the pros. So if you
Hmm.
give them a bigger stage to perform on, these hockey players like the Olympics, you create legends that don't end up in the pros. Because
Well, yeah,
think
I
about how
mean,
many guys that are amazing, but think the luck to make it into the pros, and it's crazy.
well, look at the U.S. men's Miracle on Ice team in 1980.
I
Okay,
refuse to.
you had Mike Eruzione was their captain, and he went on to play maybe a handful of games, maybe in the NHL.
Mhm.
I think it was Jim Craig, the goalie, played a little bit in the NHL. These guys are known for what they did in the Olympics, not for what they did in the NHL or pro hockey.
Mm,
Ken Morrow went on, won Olympic gold medal, and then won the cup with the Islanders. Ken Morrow had a heck of a career, but not all those guys went that. Not all of them stuck in
right.
the NHL. So, but these guys are attached to one of the greatest success stories in the history of hockey, and especially
Sport.
in the United States, right? So, yeah, there's something that says, you know what, if you are able to get a gold medal or represent your country really well, and maybe it doesn't work out for you in the
Well,
professional ranks,
well,
these guys are still relevant.
here's the thing: if you create the sport, it becomes bigger. If you create the league, it stays at the same size. So right now, by pushing the NHL into the Olympics, we're pushing the NHL. We're not pushing hockey. We're pushing. It makes if we have the NHL players go to the Olympics, you have a smaller area for there's kids that won't go to the Olympics that could have gone to the Olympics but would not become
Mhm.
professionals.
Right.
So maybe and those legends create a kids that continue the game because that's what it is. It's showing a younger base the game that and loves the game.
Right. You do open it up for other people to be able to participate and represent their country. Because let's face it, if the NHL's going, Connor McDavid's going, Nathan McKinnon's going, um, Alex Petrangelo's going. These guys are superstars every night in the NHL. You give someone else a chance, then you create that energy that you get with junior hockey and in college sports, where, and not just football, but in any college sport, anything can happen. And that's the same with the younger kids in hockey. Anything can happen. The highs are so high, and the lows, just bottom way out below where you'd ever think they would. But that's called, your momentum in these games, and that's what makes people tune in and watch. And that's
Mhm.
why college football, specifically in the United States, people obviously a lot of these people went to the schools, but the same thing is the unknown when they kick the ball off or drop the puck. in a college hockey game or a college football game, or a college basketball game is what brings intrigue, and intrigue brings viewers.
Intrigue. Nice.
Mhm.
Let's get off the Olympics. Let's get off of that. Let's talk about let's go, because this is our last show of the year. Let's talk about our highlights of 2021. All going all the way back to January of last year. What was your most exciting thing that happened this year, Jeff, in the whole game of hockey? What was it? I can tell you mine right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just that hockey was being played. Like, it was just to see the fans come back after them not being in the stadiums for so long, and people enjoying the games in September. It was great. I love the game even when there was nobody in it, but it's just a different beast when there's people at the games.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, they came back in the States first, and that helped bring back some normalcy. And then when they put them back in the stands up in Canada, that kind of got the circle was complete. Then I know that some of the teams like Winnipeg and that are going to keep people out of the building till at least looks like the second week of January right now. So we don't want to go down that rabbit hole into the ditch again. But yeah, I would have to say the highlight of the year. One of the highlights was them back playing and getting that entertainment back out to a lot of people who were shut-ins, right? A little kudo, a little shout-out to Jim Robson there, who used to always say hello to the shut-ins and people that couldn't get out to the hockey games. Well, that was pretty much all of us when they first came back.
British Columbia.
Yeah, that's pretty much everybody when it first came back. Then they started letting people in the States, and the energy of people being able to get back and get some normalcy started with them playing. Okay, the buildings were empty. Then they put people in. Then Canada, when they let the people in up there that completed it. And yeah, I'd have to agree with you. That's probably the highlight of the year because it pushed us back into kind of what we would consider more normal. And the last 2 years has been anything but that.
Anything but that. Who is your player of 2022?
Well, that I'm not going to say that's a good question. That's something I got to think about. But I would have to say
That was
22. Well, of course, who's my player of 22 or 21?
21. We'll go 22 after 21.
I'm trying to buy some time here. One of my players of 21 is Marc-Andre Fleury because he had a rough ride. He won the Vezina, had a rough ride in the summer, got traded to Buffalo, and just got his 500th victory the other night. His determination and his professionalism and his work ethic is something that I think we could all kind of take from him and realize that, yeah, he makes a lot of money, but, this guy just gets it done. So Marc-Andre Fleury would be one of my players for the fact that at 36 or 37, he won the Vezina. Yeah, he was on a good team, but he still won the Vezina. Also had a tough summer. Came back, got his 500th win a few weeks ago in Montreal. So I would put him as one of my top guys, if not the top guy, because he's always a great story.
I will agree with you on that, and also just he's a good story to show people. And we say kids, but I think even adults need to remember life isn't smooth. It's rough. You hit the bumps, and you got to figure out how to get your hands back on the wheel. And he could have just spun himself in the ditch. Instead, he just calmed down and got a hold of that wheel and got himself back on the road and is playing great again. And that big smile never stopped. Whether it's he's smiling at home all the time, who knows? But you gotta try to calm the ship when it's rough out there, and he definitely did that. Just great, a great person for all those kids and adults out there who think, oh, this is only happening to me. It's not just happening to you, it's happening to everybody. So good point, Jeff. And then I'll go with a goaltender as well. Carey Price, after an amazing run in the playoffs, says, hey, I'm not doing well, and checks himself in. And you gotta give a guy a tip of the hat who is big enough to go, I need to click reset. So I would say Carey Price, big. I would say he's my guy. He's my guy for 2021, saying I can play this game, but I gotta be okay in the head too. Yeah,
we've talked about that before, how tough that is, but the toughest part is reaching out like he did, and then he hit the pause button, and he'll be back here in the new year, and expect him to be back. And he was carrying a lot of luggage with him and playing at the top rate. He was most likely going to be Canada's goalie in the Olympics if they went. So now he gets a chance to kind of hit the reset button, and who knows? Maybe Montreal's going to be an incredible story in the second half because Carey Price is, playing as good, if not better, than he has in the past because he was able to get himself the help necessary to fix things, or at least start to fix them.
Who is the biggest villain in your eyes in the league for 2021?
The biggest villain.
Mm-hmm. And every league needs one.
We kind of talked about. I'll put this guy out there. We talked about. There's two guys that come to my mind, but I'd have to say because of recency, Lemieux, biting the guy's hand, Kachuk's hand is kind of a bit of, and he's that's his game. He wants to play on the edge, and that's obviously over the edge, but he relishes that role of being the villain, and you watch as time moves on in LA, and they play more important games, and they're in a playoff picture right now. You got to really temper how much of that villain you let out, and sometimes if it slips at the wrong time, you take an ill-advised penalty, you could really cost your team as these games get more important down the stretch. So a guy that's kind of slid into that villain role, and I think he kind of likes it, is Lemieux in LA right now.
Very nice. I will say mine was a toss-up between Tom Wilson and Marchand, and I will say Marchand still the biggest villain out there. And by villain, I say just a piece of garbage that you would love to have on your team. That's what I call a villain right there. You just don't. Oh yeah, and then when you're like, oh, he's getting traded to us. That's pretty exciting. That's my Marchand is a person that I hate because I love him.
Well, every team in the league, he could play on every team in the league, and so could Tom Wilson. I was going to bring up Tom Wilson as well, but we've talked to him about him enough. If you've noticed, he'll go do something this week, but he's kind of quieted down. He's gone quiet. You don't hear hardly anything about him anymore.
And a great Christmas card with his family, just to let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, great Christmas card with his family. Very nice looking family right there. Probably his wife told him to shut up and calm it down out there, so that's why I had to calm down.
I don't know, but that Wilson he's another guy. There isn't a team in the league he couldn't play for, and that's the same with Marchand. Either one of those guys would have been a good pick, but I think just on the recency again of Brad Marchand slew footing, it was at Oliver Ekman-Larsson a couple weeks ago. That's another thing. Like, this guy brings so much to the table, and there's an edge that makes him go. But you see him cross over the line like that, and you're like, man, oh man, oh man. I don't know. You're right. But if he's on your team, I mean, everyone in Boston loves him, right? And why shouldn't they? The guy's been amazing there.
The slew foot is another great villain, which has replaced the cross check, which used to be the villain. I kind of wish they'd figured out a way to leave that cross check in there without these guys busting their sticks over everybody like they have in the last couple of years. But I think the slew foot is so much more dangerous with what they're doing out there, and somebody's going to get hurt. A couple guys have already gotten hurt, but somebody's going to probably get hurt pretty bad by the slew foot. The old PK Subban slew foot, which he's not the only one that's doing it. Guys are trying to figure out different ways to take care of things without using the cross check, right? So, boom.
Yeah, the slew foot's probably the most dangerous play in hockey. I mean, obviously, if a guy's turned with his back towards you, a foot from the boards, and you come and run him from behind, that's not great either. But the slew foot really puts a lot of there's the bingo balls go out the window on that one because there could be so many bad outcomes from that.
Team to watch next year.
Well, I'll go with this team, which that they're ahead of schedule. I like their makeup because their young guys have come in where they need them to. and produced offense, and their defense has held down the fort with some veterans, and they got a great goalie, and that's Anaheim. So I think people are kind of looking for LA to make that jump this year. So now those two teams, LA and Anaheim, are starting to become a little bit, they're relevant again. And I don't think anybody, including myself, saw the ascent that Anaheim was going to have to this point in the year. And those guys look like they're just having fun. And I don't think they've had a lot of fun in Anaheim the last 3 or 4 years. So that's a team to look out for. And, you see what Zegras is doing. Lundstrom is another kid. And, of course, I really like Troy Terry. These young guys have come in and created so much energy for that team. And Getzlaf looks like he's, 25 again. So, Anaheim looks good. So that would be one. And I can give you one in the East if you want to give me what you think, or we can just stay on one team.
I think I'm going to go with the New York Rangers are to watch and building, even though it's a little awkward. That owner's a little nutty, but something about that team is just we love the coach that's there. The goaltending's back. We thought it might be not be good, even though he's hurt right now. And I think there's going to be a big trade. I think I'm blanking on his name. The French kid that they got at number one a couple years ago. I would expect to see him someplace else by the end of the year.
Who's that? What team?
Guy, what's his face? New York Rangers.
Oh, Lafreniere.
There we
go. Yeah. Or Lafreniere, yeah.
Lafreniere.
You think they'll move him? I don't know. He seems to be starting to kind of find his groove a little bit. A lot of people expected him to step in the league right away and be unbelievable. Mm-hmm. That's such a big jump for a young kid. And then he's carrying all that pressure of being number one,
That's stupid. It's like you guys, the people that say those kind of things are guys that had easy, they weren't even good at easy jobs when they first started them, and they expected to pick up and be in there. And it drives me nuts when people talk about it. I'm like, think about just being an 18-year-old kid and stepping into a man's world and taking over. Very few people can do that. And even sometimes when they do that, there's guys that are helping them out, and that team didn't have that going on. So, calm down, relax. Don't get your panties as in a wad, as some people around here I know always say that. Bam. I just hate to I hate to see young guys just that when they walk, people can bitch and complain about why aren't they amazing yet? Oh, I'm like, you didn't figure you didn't even have facial hair until you were 32, you loser. So quit telling people,
Hey, we were doing so well, and I think the New Year's, I was pretty happy. The New Year's episode was kind of uplifting there, and then you started calling people names, getting all fired up again.
I didn't even mention any names.
No, you didn't.
No, but I
called some 32-year-old a loser.
Some 30-year-old right now with no facial hair is just all embarrassed. Life is tough. I hate when we gang up on people and say they should be someplace where who knows how long it takes a person to get. And it's interesting. I got some questions. Victor Basante, one of our biggest fans, sent in some more questions last week, and I didn't get to them. And this question I want to ask before this year ends.
Okay.
He mentioned that we don't see the big slap shots anymore, like Al McInnes or Iafrate. You remember when those big slap?
Yeah.
And his question is the mechanics of the big slap shot, has that changed? Because you see a lot more, people on the off foot or the wrong foot when they're shooting. Is that got anything to do with that? Like why? I think this is a great question. I haven't even noticed it, but the big shot isn't really there. It's kind of everybody's kind of got a good shot, but not a great shot.
Right, and it is a great question because when I'm at a game and I see a guy wind up taking a slap shot, I'm like, what's he doing? It's all about speed in the NHL now, and
it slows down the game, right?
Well, those shots, those guys get in lanes now, so they give them, they have some extra padding, but you got to give the guys kudos for being brave and standing in the way. Yeah, they got way better padding, and they got different padding on their body than the guys used to. But the game's so much faster, and the way they play it now is what they do is they protect what's called the house, which is basically kind of from the front of the net out to the circles, and then kind of then it goes straight line out to the point. And so if you look at that, it's kind of like a roof of a house, right? But they want to protect the middle of the ice, basically. And so when a slapper gets, usually a point man winds up to take a slapper, guys are going to be right in that zone. They're willing to give you the side maybe way more than they are the middle. And so if you're going down the side, the chances of taking a slapper, it just takes more time. They're trying to get pucks through now. There's bodies all over the place in front of the net. So
just gets eaten up. Just gets eaten up. Yeah.
Yeah. Guys just, you know what? It's this pace of play. Guys just are able to get sticks or the part of their body in front of the shot.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why you see, guys with great wrist shots. Look at Brett Burns. Burnsy, one of the things about him, he's a lot of fun to watch, but one of the things he does just about better than anyone in the league is he gets the puck through, consistently gets it through. And, you look at his stats, maybe they've kind of fallen off a little bit over the last couple of years. But when he was in his heyday in San Jose, he was getting that wrister through. Once in a while, he'd take a slapper, but mostly wristers getting tipped. They'd get through the traffic and he'd score, and he could shoot the puck hard. Shea Theodore does a similar thing in Vegas. Fox with the Rangers and Klingberg with Dallas is just some guys that are really good at getting the puck through and don't wind up and take the big slapper. Although they got them, they can rip it with the slapper if they need to.
Write that down, kids at home. Got to get the puck through to the net. It's great that you have a big shot, but if it's not getting there, there's no point. It's got to get on goal. A lot of those big slap shots, just hear the glass clap. A lot of guys just putting it just by the net, and no point.
Yeah. Well, and if you want to be noticed, because we know there's all kinds of young kids that watch us and listen to us.
Most love this show.
If you want to get noticed, if you want to make your way to the next level, learn how to wrist the puck well and quickly and accurately. So, you know what, the slap shot, they all want to do it. We go out and do the lessons, and we're on the ice with the minor hockey teams too. The kids, they want the big slapper. They want the one-timer. The shot that's going to make you millions is the wrist shot.
Write that down. 2021 end of the season for Orange Slices and Sharples. Learn how to take a wrist shot if you want to make money in the NHL.
Yep.
Write that down, goaltenders.
That's right.
I love it. I love it. We got lots of games coming up next year. Olympics are off. We still got you're going to be able to go. Are you going to the All-Star game in Vegas? I
don't know. It depends on my schedule, what we're doing. I mean, that's a big weekend. I hope they can pull it off. But that I will let you know in 2022, Lord Bagg.
Don't tell us anything. What do you think? Should we do some shout outs before we get out of
here?
Sure. Shout outs for the year. Last shout outs here. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to do a shout out. I was thinking, I've actually been grinding on this the whole 32 minutes. We've been going 33 now, but I'm going to give a shout out to my good buddy and your good buddy, Busky, Rod Buskus.
Love him.
Spent the holidays with him. We did a skate. I'll have to send you a picture after this. As him and I were out on the ice in Vegas at the Silver Knights rink on Christmas Eve. He is grinding away, and we had a Christmas dinner to end all Christmas dinners with him, his lovely wife, Debbie. But Rod is my shout out this week for being an incredibly good friend to our family and my kids and to me. So shout out to you, Busky.
Busky. Love him. And the best hair of all time. Just to let you guys know, he has got the best hair of all. You see that picture right there that we just put up of him. He's got the best hair ever of all times. And great fists. He's got big fists that just knock in the face. Love that guy. Love the Rod Buskus. My shout out is to everybody that listened to the show, that watched the show. Thank you so much. We've had a lot of fun doing this. What we've done is we've just basically taken our phone calls and turned them into a half an hour talk on the internet. And it's really fun that people listen and that you send us some messages every so often. We have a Facebook group now. We have the Enjoying Orange Slices Facebook group. We got 50 people in that. Not everybody knows about it, but make sure you sign up and join it in. We're just going to send the hockey information around, hockey, laugh, chirp each other, have a good time. Stay safe out there. Have a great New Year's. Jeff, hopefully you get out of DC without becoming a senator.
Well, I don't know. That's a pretty good gig, I think. But yeah. Hey, and I just want to say this.
Yes.
I go, well, Buskey's like a bunch of people, so like I give a shout out to one, and then you like bring the whole globe in and shout out to them.
No,
it's a global podcast, right?
I feel bad right now. You brought up one guy, you gave him a great shout out, and I was like, hey everybody, just as all to you. Yeah. And then meanwhile Trent sitting at home like, how about me?
I know. It's a good thing I don't swear on slices. I would give it to you right there, but I'll give it to you off the air for Trent. So yeah, anyways,
thanks so much. And Brian Olney, thanks for helping us out with the podcast, producing it and putting it all together. Brian, big Montreal Canadiens fan, so he probably got a nice pair of underwear for Christmas. Anyways.
All right. Hey, that's for sure. I hope everyone has a happy New Year, safe New Year, and we'll see you on the other side, as they like to say. Love to all.
Love to all. And that is the final episode of Enjoying Orange Slices with Jeff and Ian for 2021. Tune in next year when we have a theme song, and we also have some other stuff. Get ready. We might have stickers or T-shirts. Who knows? I haven't told Jeff yet. It's a surprise. Happy New Year, everybody.